Hello, this is Chris Cavalinas, and I am doing my legal and regulatory. The strict adherence to patient privacy and confidentiality is an expectation of the nurse and is addressed in two ways. First, these rights are protected through the regulation created by the American Nurses Association. Provision 3 of the Code of Ethics for Nurses states the nurse promotes, advocates for, and protects the rights, health, and safety of the patient. The Code of Ethics further explains the nurse has a duty to maintain confidentiality of all patient information, both personal and clinical, in the work setting, and off duty in all venues, including social media and any other means of communication. Secondly, the federal government passed a law that reinforces and further defines privacy through the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, also known as HIPAA. HIPAA was created to protect the privacy of the patient by defining what information is considered identifiable and communicating how, by whom, and under what context this information can be used. The law further states this protected information includes past, present, or future physical or mental health of the individual, as well as information that creates the perception of the ability to identify the individual. As expressed by Henderson and Dank, 2015, an important part of the nurse-patient relationship is creating a therapeutic bond, and being able to fulfill the needs of the patient is critical to holistic nursing. This process is constantly evolving by gaining knowledge and skills through compassionate interactions with the patient. The online presence of today's patient is very strong. 1 in 3 American adults go online to research their medical conditions, and 60% of patients now seek both support and information online. With the numbers of Americans turning to the internet for their healthcare questions, social media can serve as the bridge between the healthcare practitioner and the patient. Social media can foster professional connections, promote timely communication with the patients and family members, and educate and inform consumers and healthcare professionals. With each online interaction, the concern that must all social networking sites come in a variety of options for the online connoisseur. You all can probably think of many online options. The patient can reach out to fellow online communities through blogs, online chat rooms, video sites, video sharing, podcasts, microblogging, professional networks, and content-driven communities. Also, social networking sites such as Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Wikipedia, and Instagram. The most popular choices are Facebook and Twitter. It's reported that Facebook had 802 million average daily active users as of March 2014, with 1.28 billion monthly active users. In 2014, Twitter reports 255 million active users and roughly 500 million tweets on a daily basis. With this level of usage, the nurse must learn how these social networking sites operate and must locate reliable online resources that disseminate accurate information regarding health topics. Not fulfilling this task will make the patient susceptible to misinformation. There are many benefits to the use of social media and networking. Nurses can network and build relationships with colleagues near and far. They can use these contacts to develop professionally and create a professional presence online. Nurses can discuss health-related education, evidence-based practice, and research. Information can be used to better advocate for and educate the public on health-related subjects. Social media can connect patients with support groups and increase compliance with their prescribed medication regimen. Furthermore, social media can help the nurse create an individualized plan of care for each patient, and allowing the patient to contribute to the development of an acceptable plan. Successfully navigating privacy and confidentiality creates a sense of trust between the patient and the nurse. Creating trust between the nurse and the patient is the foundation of the nurse-patient relationship. While social media has many benefits for the consumer in this electronic age, there are a host of concerns that could lead to legal and ethical violations. First, information placed on social media can take on a life of its own, and in some cases can go to the extreme by becoming. False information can be construed as true due to its repetition. All these extra voices may increase confusion and stress among the patients and their families. Second, there is a misguided belief that a message is private, will only be seen by the intended audience, and a comment that is deleted is no longer. Privacy and confidentiality can be breached intentionally or unintentionally. While not listing the patient's name, a violation can occur by describing the patient or situation with enough details to be able to be identified. Grace 2018 defines privacy as a broader statement that expresses the right to be free of interference from others and having the autonomy to choose how information about oneself is disseminated. The concept of privacy stems from the fundamental rights to life, liberty, and property. Autonomy is simply defined as the right to make personal decisions, and confidentiality is specifically related to the guarding of one's personal information, typically meaning their healthcare information. Non-maleficence means to be above all else do no harm. Unfortunately, even if the patient is not identified in postings or conversations, there can still be a breach of non-maleficence. Beneficence is a responsibility of the nurse to maximize benefits and minimize harm to the patients. It's a moral requirement of the clinician. Merely by referencing the patient or situation, there is a potential for identification, and any unnecessary risk to the patient is a violation of non-maleficence and beneficence. In the article by Henderson and Dank, 2015, integrity is defined as having and consistently holding firm to moral principles and standards. Per Grace 2018, veracity is a responsibility to be honest, and fidelity is being loyal with an unwavering commitment to another. First and foremost, in order to uphold professional integrity, uphold the principles of veracity and fidelity, nurses should not submit complaints on social media about patients, employers, or the nursing profession as a whole. They should maintain professional boundaries on social media, and furthermore, nurses must report questionable posts they see from other contributors and follow their organization's policy regarding social media. Overstepping the boundaries of what is seen as legal and ethical on social media can lead to several consequences. The severity of these consequences will depend on the specific conduct of the nurse and are listed in paper A Nurse's Guide 2011. The Board of Nursing may choose to investigate reports of social media violations for many reasons, including unprofessional conduct, unethical conduct, moral turpitude, mismanagement of patient records, revealing a privileged communication, or breach of confidentiality. The findings of their investigation could result in disciplinary action from the Board of Nursing in the form of sanctions or reprimands, monetary fines, temporary or permanent loss of licensure. The violations could also break state and federal laws related to confidentiality and patient privacy. Additionally, nurses could be sued personally for harassment, defamation, or invasion of privacy. These charges could result in civil and criminal judgments consisting of fines and potential jail time. The nurse's actions could negatively impact the organization by damaging the organization's reputation or making the organization vulnerable to regulatory consequences or a lawsuit. If the nurse's actions violate the organization's policies, the nurse may be subject to employment consequences up to and including termination. There are many steps the nurse can take to ensure they do not violate the patient's privacy, confidentiality, or any ethical principles. Above all else, the nurse must realize they have a legal and ethical commitment to ensure patient privacy and confidentiality without exception. Nurses should be aware of and follow the policies of their organization. They should never share images or information received during the course of a nurse-patient interaction without a patient care need or legal obligation to do so. The nurse should preserve professional boundaries even if the patient initiates the request for a personal friendship. Do not reference the patient in a derogatory manner. Immediately bring forward any breaches of privacy or confidentiality. Do not submit content or speak on behalf of the organization unless the organization has given authorization. When it's necessary to create an online post related to work, consult leadership and organizational policies for advice. Do not publish the patient's name or any other information that could identify the patient. All information should be sufficiently de-identified. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services 2015 created the safe harbor method of de-identification to help ensure patient privacy. This method speaks to the removal of 18 different identifiers to comply with HIPAA privacy rules. Some of these seem like common sense, but the identifiers include name, geographic subdivisions smaller than the state, such as zip code, precinct, county, city, or street address, any dates other than the year, telephone numbers, vehicle identifiers, being serial number or license plate number, fax numbers, device identifiers, email addresses, website URLs, social security numbers, computer IP addresses, medical record numbers, biometric identifiers like fingerprints, health plan beneficiary numbers, photographs and any other comparable images, account numbers, unique identifying numbers, characteristics or codes, and certificate and license numbers. During this presentation, the audience has learned exactly how widespread social media has become within society. The further discussion highlighted the laws and regulations created to protect society as outlined in the American Nurses Association Code of Ethics and the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Social media can help build therapeutic relations and provide easy access to patient education materials, as well as many other benefits within healthcare. Due to the extent social media has infiltrated society, there are many potential problems that could lead to legal and ethical violations. The legal and ethical principles that should be at the forefront of the audience's mind when thinking about social media are autonomy, non-maleficence, beneficence, veracity, fidelity, privacy, confidentiality, and professional integrity. Violations of these principles could result in hefty consequences to the nurse and organization. Lastly, this author presented practices the nurse can follow to ensure online interactions do not result in violations. At this time, I'd like to open up the mic and request your questions and comments. Please take a few moments to send me a note. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. The next couple slides are the references. I'll click through those. So thank you for your